we'll just wait a couple seconds and minutes while people are joining. Hope everyone is enjoying their rainy day outside right now. If you have questions along the way, feel free to ask them below. I'll do my best to answer them. But I do have a lot of things to go over today between platforms that you could use if your event is offline and you had to cancel and you need to bring it online, or if you're even hosting a new event online. So we'll wait another second or so, grab your coffee, and we'll get going in a minute. So those of you that are here, I'll do a quick introduction. If you don't know me, I'm pretty sure most of you do, but my name is Alfonso Intro, President and CEO of the Creative Strategy Agency. We're a digital marketing and communications agency focusing on social media, advertising, SEO, SEM, basically helping our clients reach their customers on any platform that they're on, especially with the mobile device. Today, I really wanted to go over the different types of events that on virtual platforms that you could be doing, as well as what you should be doing for your attendees, and some tips that are good for your event if you are moving your event offline to online, or tips as well for if you're creating a whole new event online only. So we'll kind of just get going. The first thing I really wanted to talk about was really finding the right solution, the right type of virtual event that your company or organization really needs. So just like in any in-person event, not all virtual events are created equal. So you want to make sure that you get the right platform or software that you could use. So I really wanted to go over the different types of virtual events that you could use, so that and there's a plethora of it, and I also have some software ideas and things that you could also look into. So the first one really, it's pretty basic, but it's webinars. So it's really just an online presentation that happens in real time. Some of them could also be pre-recorded, but it's easy, where these webinars could also be shared after your event. So if they're recorded live, it's easy content to share out after the event. So there's a lot of things that benefits from webinars. So people can ask questions as it's happening, if it's live. But there's some really great platforms out there. So a few of the platforms that I've researched and I found that are good, obviously everyone knows Zoom. That's become very popular, even though although they've been having a lot of backlash with their privacy. They've been looking like they've been fixing that and getting that reconnected and working for their customers. But another webinar platform that I found is called Six Connects. It's available on any browser or device. You really don't need to download anything for it. It's really just from the web. It includes flexible registration, social media integration, and some real-time analytics. So if you're doing anything online, analytics and data is very important, so you know what's working and what's not working if you need to do this again. So having analytics and data in it is also great. Crowdcast, that's a single URL that you could send out that everyone can join, similar to Zoom, but it has built-in registration forms, also has analytics, and gives your attendees an option to replay the webinars on the event. Other ones, Livestorm, Demio, Webinar Ninja, all are great platforms, similar in a sense of analytics and communication through the event. And then there's also YouTube. A lot of people don't think of YouTube, but YouTube does have live stream options, and we'll get into the live stream opportunities that you can do outside of webinars through social media. But YouTube also is a great platform for you to potentially host your event. If you're not looking to do a webinar, or if you're doing a conference and you're trying to move it online, there's also platforms for those type of events. The one I mentioned before, 6 Connects, so that's the number 6, CONNEX. That is also great for conferences. You can create virtual booths if you have sponsors or organizations that had booths for an in-person event. You can create, live stream right through in there. It can really become almost like a trade show. So 6 Connects has a plethora of options that you could do, whether it's a webinar or a conference. Really check that out. Another platform that I've looked into is called Brella, BRELLA. Speakers, you can do multi-track agendas, sponsors, live streams. There's a whole hub in Brella that you could use for conferencing. Another one's called Hopin. It's an all-in-one live events platform. It covers everything from networking events, meetings, trade shows, webinars, live broadcasts, and more. Another one that I found, which I like and I'm really going to look into myself, is called Remo, REMO. It creates webinars, summits, live Q&As, conferences, attendee engagement, and you can even sell sponsorship through that platform, which is really great, especially for nonprofits that had in-person events that were potentially going to be fundraisers. This is an opportunity for you to still ask for sponsorships, even though, granted, the times that we're in and money is tight across all the boards with the pandemic going around, it's an opportunity to still try to raise some money for your event. Another platform for conferencing, it's called Run the World. It's a very, the description, I'll read it. It says cocktail parties and fireside chats, remote conference platform, built-in templates are available as well. And so it really helps with like the event planning side of things. And the last one for conferences and networking type events is VFairs, VFAIRS. It's a virtual expo platform. So with booths and webinars and ways for attendees to have conversations with all of those booths within the event. So that covers conferences and networking. The one previously was webinars. The next platform or options that you have is basically social media live streaming. So every platform now offers live streaming. So Facebook, which we're on right now, Instagram, even LinkedIn, Twitter offers live through their platform Periscope, and I mentioned earlier YouTube. So if you're thinking that the event's going to be on a smaller scale, going live on social is probably a good option for you for multiple reasons. One, the attendees will get notified that you're going live, and even if they're not a registered attendee, your social media page your followers will know that you're going live. So if you're intending to host a free event, social live streams may be the way for you to go. It's easier setup and much more easier to manage compared to the webinars and the conference softwares. But if you're hosting a paid event, you would want to look at having those kind of conference webinar platforms to use, especially if you have multiple speakers, if you have multiple, the agenda is long and you have a lot of topics to cover. So the next thing I want to really go over is if you already have an event that you had to cancel and postpone, and now you're thinking, well, we may not be able to do this in person. Maybe we need to look at doing this event online. There's a lot of things you need to consider. So the first thing you want to consider is the people that have already purchased tickets to your event. Keep communication open with them. Let them know what's going on. Even if you don't know exactly what your plan is, if you're going to postpone it, let them know. If you're going to bring it online as a virtual event, let them know. Make sure that their tickets still vouch for however you change the event. And allow them access to the event even after the fact. Maybe someone purchased a ticket for in person, but when it goes to virtual, it's at the day and time that they don't have access to or they can't do it. Give them the event after the fact. Luckily, with anything that you do with video, it can be pre-recorded. You can send it to them so they feel like they aren't missing the event, and also that their purchased ticket still has value. Make sure your online event is as fun and engaging as you wanted it offline. So there's really several things you can do. So think about what you normally do for an offline event. So for example, if networking. So a lot of times offline events have networking opportunities before, during, or after their events. So if you're hosting a virtual event, there's an opportunity with some of the platforms, even like Zoom, where you can set up networking before or after the event so the attendees can kind of get to know each other. You can have the speakers or even yourself, the host, be on that networking information, so it gets the attendees more connected and it gets you more connected to them. So really making sure that, you know, if you're planning to have a networking session on your offline event, figure out how you can bring that online and get people connected and not just watching the screen, but connected and engaging with together. If you're hosting like breakout sessions, they're another thing you can do for your event. So, you know, looking at if there's separate sessions in between sessions, how much time are you having in between? What do you want? So do you want to include the networking in between so people can have feedback in between sessions? So really looking at what you're doing offline to engage people at the event, how you can do that online. There are a lot of ways, again, between the networking, the Q&As, things like that, where you can keep your online virtual event engaged and that people aren't just watching the monitor and you know, ultimately tuning out. They're engaged, they're asking questions, and really being a part of it. Another thing I would say is really looking at, if you're hosting the event, show your face, say hi to the attendees when the event starts, you know, really introducing the event, introducing yourself, your organization, letting people know that you are there. You're still managing the event, and if they have questions, you're there to answer them for them. Hey Mike, what's going on? Mike has a question. Does Facebook or any other platforms offer more detailed analytics for live broadcasts? So Facebook and Instagram, if you have Instagram set up as a business page, you do have access to analytics. Facebook, way more in depth with the analytics. You know, looking at, you know, how often, when people are looking at your video. What happens with Facebook, once the video is done being live, it becomes, you have the option to keeping it as a regular video. So you can go back and look at how often people are actually watching the video after it's done being live. But there are other softwares out there that you pay for, that you can get all of that information. But Facebook and Instagram are free, but Instagram does not have too many analytics when it comes to live streaming, but Facebook does have it. And they give you more data after the live stream's over in the sense of how people are continuing to watch the video after all is said and done. So if you go to your business page, Mike, and you look at the Insights tab, there's a video tab in there somewhere, and I'm trying to visually see it. You'll be able to see how people are engaged with the video during and after. Hi, Danny. Hey, no problem. Here every Thursday at 11 o'clock. I'm glad you can join. So going into my tips. So there's a lot of things. So I kind of broke these tips down into two different segments. One is if you're hosting a current event and now you're moving it online, these are going to be the tips for you. And then after this, I'll go over which I think both groups of tips will be helpful for both audiences. So first, if you're hosting a current event, if you are holding a conference or whether it's like one big in-person workshop and you're gonna have a printed program, still create that program, just make it digitally. So letting your attendees know what the program is ahead of time. And I mean, you'll be saving on paper, you won't be wasting, but you'll be able to create this nice digital program that you can send out ahead of time that people know what is going on at the event. You know, and there's again, that is bringing something that you're doing offline and bringing it online. So look at all those little things like the event program how you can make it digitally. Creating a nice PDF that you can send out to everyone ahead of time is great. Another tip for if your event's current and you're making it online now, look at, and I mean, this is also a tip for if you're looking to host a new event. Look at working with AV or web streaming professionals that kind of know what they're doing. The biggest thing is setting up this grand virtual event and then something happens and you have anywhere between 10 to 100 people there and it doesn't look good for your business. So really look at doing some research, finding someone or a business that can help you. Make sure that you have the right setup between the audio, the video, the lighting. Work with someone that's going to help make your virtual event clean, crisp, and a good experience for your attendees. In relation to the AV equipment and video and audio and light, test all of that ahead of time. Don't wait 10 minutes before the event to test those things. Test them the day before, do a run of your event if you need to, but make sure everything is working technology-wise, because we live in a world where tech doesn't always work. So make sure that you are doing as much as you can in preparing that if something may not work, that you need a backup for it. If you have presenters that were going to be presenting at your conference and now you need to bring them online, make sure that their AV setup is good and it matches your quality. Make sure that, it's hard now with everyone working virtually and the quality of the videos and audios may not all be the same, but if you're hosting this high caliber event, like a big conference, and you want to now host it online, you do need to make sure that the quality is there. If people are paying prices to get tickets, you want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth and the value. So if create instructions if you want to, coordinating with the online presenters. So letting them know like what they need to be ready, what type of equipment that you're using that they maybe need to look into. So really talking to your presenters ahead of time. And if they don't feel comfortable doing it virtually, finding someone to replace them that could. Luckily there are a lot of people that prefer to do things virtually versus in person. And again, there's people that prefer to do this in person and not virtually. So make sure that if some of the speakers or presenters aren't comfortable doing it virtually or maybe don't have aren't adapted to do it, make sure that you have backup to that or another person that may be able to fill in. Another tip I would have is, and it relates to if someone signed up for your event and now can't make it virtually, record everything so that you can then send it to them after the fact. Be sure you ask your presenters and anyone that's speaking at your event for permission. It's just because they're speaking at your event doesn't mean that you can record their video and use it for your marketing purposes. So make sure that you get permission from every speaker and presenter that, yes, we're going live, but we're going to be recording it and we want to send this out after the fact. So make sure you get make sure that you get confirmation from them that you are allowed and you can do it. Make sure that when you're working with the speakers that maybe their in-person presentation doesn't match what it would be virtually. So they may need to alter their presentation. So let them know ahead of time what your expectations are so that they can adjust their presentations to your event, your new virtual event, and really looking at, again, making them feel comfortable that this is still worth their time and being part of your event, but making sure that everyone is on the same page. Coming up with kind of like a program for speakers and presenters of like how the day is going to go for them as well is also a good idea to let them know, again, if they're not presenting all day and they're only there for a certain amount of time, are they going to be able to join in on the event, a virtual event like everyone else, or are they just jumping in at that specific time? So figure out what you want out of your presenters and speakers virtually and let them know ahead of time and send them their own program. Excuse me, need some coffee. And lastly, and this happens with every event offline, and you definitely want to do this with any event online, give them a takeaway. Whether it's follow-up from any session that they attended, whether it's, the presenters have PowerPoint presentations they can send out, have everything ready so when the event is over that you'll be able to send it to them and they have everything they needed from the event like you would in person, but now it's online. So making sure that you pre-packaged everything ahead of time. So it's not like, okay, I'm gonna move my event and do it online next week. It really doesn't work that way. You really wanna make sure that you are being prepared, and so that when people leave your virtual event, knowing that whether it was in person or virtual, they still get the same experience, the same value, and are able to take away the same information that they would if it was in person. So if you're looking at hosting a whole new event, there's a lot of things, and this is the first time you're hosting a virtual event, there's a lot of things to consider. But I'm gonna go kind of start with the basics and I'll roll into that. And again, some of these tips can go for new events, and some of them can go for if you already have an event that you need to move online. So one is really creating the right name for the event. So if you're moving an offline event to virtual, maybe you need to change the name, but really consider what name you have. Make it a marketable name, make it easy for people to get what the event is about. The next thing I would say is come up with a game plan. So, what experience do you want them to have? Is it gonna be live stream, pre-recorded, both? I recommend both. I'll jump into that a little later. Where can they see it? Access, is it paid, free? Best time for the event. And so really looking at coming up with how you wanna see this virtual event happen. And come up with a plan. Even before you make any announcement of what the event is going to be, know everything, so that when people are asking questions, because people always ask questions, you know how to answer them and not say, oh, let me get back to you. So really come up with a game plan first before you decide or put out there when the event's going to happen and what it's going to look like. Think about how you're going to promote the event. Look at your KPIs, like what are your key performance indicators? Like what do you think will deem it a successful event? And keep track of that. Whether it's the number of attendees, whether it's the engagement level of the attendees, whether it's, if you're having people sign up for something after the event, like what are you looking for to make it redeemed as a successful event? So make sure you iron all of that out before you even push it out there. The next thing, and this goes for both if it's an offline event, you're moving online, and then you're starting a new event, choosing the right time. Granted, right now, everyone has pushed their events into late summer, early fall, September, October. So making sure that your event is not conflicting with other events that are already going on. And I know it's going to be tough because generally, there already are events happening in September, October. Now you're adding in March, April, May, potentially June events pushed into September, October events. You want to make sure that you're planning accordingly. So look at your community calendars, know what other events have been postponed, what dates they're on. Really be smart about when and how you pick the date and picking the right time. So it's not just picking the date, but the actual time of the event as well. Is it going to be in the morning, afternoon, nighttime? Prior to virtual events, a lot of them happen during the day because people are at work, and it was easy for them to take that half a day and in their office and pay attention to the event. Now that everyone, or mostly everyone, is working from home and has family and has kids, it makes it much harder to lock in a specific time for the event. So really take into consideration what's happening with the pandemic and look at the actual time that may work. Maybe it is an evening. Maybe it's early in the morning. Maybe it's during lunch while the parents can have their kids eating lunch while they're paying attention to the event. Really pay attention. There's things that you can look into your Facebook analytics to see what time, a day and time people are on your social media platforms. So really picking the right day and time is going to help your event become more successful. If I'm based in Western Mass, and if you're hosting an event that's more national or even international, be aware of different time zones. So don't just say 11 o'clock and everyone at 11 o'clock, because people in California are 3 hours behind. So for them, it would be eight. Yeah, I think I did my math right. So just be sure that when you're picking your time, that you're cognizant of who's going to be attending your event, and if they're in different time zones, make sure that's also accessible for them. The next thing I would say, and this kind of goes into the basic of marketing, creating the right tagline, creating a hashtag. The hashtag I think is very important in a sense of if it's an online virtual event, the hashtag becomes its own aggregated feed that people can follow along and engage with other people attending the event, whether it's through Twitter, Facebook, even LinkedIn. Really look at creating a solid hashtag for your event, and it makes your event much more higher engaged. It allows users to really go in and interact with each other even though they're not near each other. I don't know how many events I've been to where we've live tweeted while we're there and the person next to me is like responding to me even though they're next to me in person. So creating a hashtag and promoting that as an engagement tool for your online virtual event will help keep the engagement. I think the biggest thing and the hardest thing to do with any virtual event, and it's including my own Facebook Live, is making sure that people are engaged, asking questions. So a hashtag actually does help that when you're hosting more like the conferences and the workshops and things like that. Next, I would say create content that really promotes the event. Don't just create one post and say, hey, here's our event, hope to see you there. Build it into your content calendar, figure out the messaging of how you want to go about it. We're no longer in the build it and they will come phase. You need to build it and kind of push it out there. So looking at, even if it includes advertising and the right target audience, so really getting your event out there with content, it's a good opportunity to tap your local community. So if you have, whether they're influencers or local leaders and that you know that they're attending your event, asking them to help share the event out, really making sure that you're pushing the event out there. Once you solidify the date and time, push it out there as much as you can. You don't want to overdo it in the sense of posting something every day about it, but be sure that you are getting people to sign up and register for it, because if you're looking to hope to get 50 people at this event, what are you going to do to get 50 people? One social media post is not going to cut it. Another thing you can do, which helps is, and I do it with these Facebook Lives, is creating a Facebook event. You can have a much more engaged Q&A within the Facebook event, and allows people to remember when the virtual event's actually going to happen. So not only just posting on your own social platforms, but if you're creating an event on Facebook or Eventbrite or Meetup, making sure that there's engagement opportunities on there as well. Another thing I think people don't really think about is their email signatures. So if you have switched your event or you're restructured your event to be virtual or you're hosting a whole new event, include a link to it in your email signature. You're already having these conversations with clients and friends through email, whether you're trying to sell them the event or not. It's just an opportunity to get your event out in front of more people. So look at updating your email signature with a quick link to the event, and it helps just get it out there more. And relating to email, and I keep saying this in every live session, use your email list. Always continue to be building your email list regardless, but use your email list. So let people know what's going on. Don't just rely on just social media. Use all forms of digital communication that you can use to get people to sign up for the event. One thing, and I know it's not really in my, we've done it for some clients, but now that a lot of people are home, mailers might actually be a good opportunity to promote your online event. So creating a postcard that you send out to get people to sign up, whether it's maybe having a YouTube video link on the card so that they can go and watch a video that learns more about your event, or a website link that brings them to a page about your event. Mailers are actually a good opportunity now because everyone is home. And it's kind of retracting back where people are getting a little excited that they're getting mail now. That's not a bill. So really look at some traditional means of marketing and advertising, that how you could really promote your event, like sending out mailers or postcards, or even if it's as simple as printing out a letter and mailing it out. When it comes to website, I would recommend creating a one-pager on your website for the event that has all the information on there. I wouldn't necessarily make it a blog post, but really make it a custom page on your website so that it houses all the information for the event. B, you can track through your website analytics, whether it's Google Analytics or any other software that you use. You can track how many visits that page gets, where the visits are coming from, and looking at your marketing efforts for this event if they're working to get more people to this website page. So utilize your website as much as you can, build a page for your event, and fill in as much information, whether it's the speakers, the agenda, and update it after the event is over. If people are looking at where they can get their takeaways, where they can rewatch live or pre-recorded webinars, update the website page after the event is over. That adds a lot of value to your attendees that went to the event. When it comes to live streaming and pre-recorded, I recommend a mix of both. Live streaming is going to be great for engagement and keeping people in tune with what's going on in the conference or the workshop or wherever you're hosting. But pre-recorded content is okay. So if you have this amazing presenter that can't do it virtually on that specific day, have them pre-record it. There are still ways where you as a host can answer questions even if it's pre-recorded, but not everything needs to be live on a virtual event, which is good. Some people aren't comfortable going live, and some people just don't want to do it. So really looking at doing a mix of both if you need to, and it is okay. But look at how long your sessions are going to be, how long you want your live sessions to be, how long you want your pre-recorded sessions to be, really coming up again with that game plan of how this is going to look. For all my event marketing friends that helped with in-person events and bringing them up online, it's the same thing. Coming up with a plan, how you're going to execute it, how you're going to market it, really making sure every detail is checked off, whether it's live or pre-recorded. Know what you're doing for your event. So another tip in general, and it goes for both, is keeping the attendees engaged. I personally don't know how many events I've gone to virtually and you're just sitting there and you're watching, and there's no opportunity to ask questions or anything like that. So you really want to make sure that you keep that open for engagement, because if you're someone like me and you're watching for 10 or 15 minutes and you just start tuning out because you're on a computer and other things start popping up, an email pops up, you get a social notification. So you really want to make sure that people, when they're there at their virtual event, they're there. Looking at how you can keep them engaged. So there's things like Q&As, you can do quizzes. There's a lot of different things that you can do at the end of every presentation. Within the conference, people can have games. Look at how you can keep your attendees engaged throughout the whole event, whether it's a 1 hour event or half a day event. How are you going to keep them engaged? Because if they are engaged, they are enjoying the event, which means then they share out your event to their network. So really making sure you include ways to keep them engaged throughout the whole event, not just at the end. Always prepare for tech troubles. As I said before, physical events always have glitches. Things always happen. The sponsor doesn't come. The microphone for the keynote speaker doesn't work. Things always happen. Always be prepared. So before you really do anything, you make sure, obviously, like the internet is working, making sure that all the attendees are there ahead of time, or the speakers are there ahead of time, that you can make sure everyone is on the same page. Again, sending them that agenda ahead of time so everyone knows what's going on, even the speakers. Just really making sure that you're prepared for any tech issues that may happen. And depending on the event, definitely, I personally would recommend making the event available after. So if this is a ticketed event, you can have all of your event recorded and sent to them after. If there are people that cannot attend your event, there's an opportunity for you to maybe sell the ticket at a much discounted rate, and that gives them the opportunity to look at everything after the fact. So when you send out your attendees, here's all the live sessions from today, here are all the notes, here are the presentations from the speakers, you can still offer that for people that did not sign up to attend the event live at a discounted rate, so that you're still getting money for the information or the value that you're providing for them. So always look at what you can provide after for the takeaway, but also how you could reuse that to market to people that didn't attend the event and are able to attend their own version of the event at their own time. When you're looking at taking all those live videos it's so easy to repurpose them and make other content around it. So for example, if you are the host but you're also doing your own session, once the live video or the pre-recorded video is done, you could even take that audio and turn that into a podcast. Take your videos, upload it to YouTube, and embed it onto your website and make a blog post about it. So there's ways where you can repurpose the content, and finding ways to utilize the whole day, half day, however long your conference is, that will keep people engaged a week or two after the event's set and done. As for the speakers or yourself, again, with the speakers, ask permission that you could repurpose their content and their presentations. But it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to really build out content, not just for one day, but for weeks or months at the end of it. The last big tip I would say is data capture. So people are attending the event. Chances are you have their email. Send a follow-up survey. What did they like and not like about it? Are they subscribed to your monthly emails? Really look at every person that's attending your virtual event, capturing them in some way and getting information from them to determine if this event was successful or not. And it helps you plan if you know maybe your offline event actually became better online. So really looking at, once the event is over, having a survey already in place that you can send out that day or the following day so it's fresh off of your attendees' minds. Looking at how you can get that data and look at, okay, was this virtual event worth it or not? And really making sure that you're listening to the attendees and giving them a voice to know what's worked and what hasn't worked. So those are the tips. Again, some of these tips could go for both current events or if you're looking to host a new event. Right now it's tough out there with the pandemic going on and people not knowing, especially in Massachusetts, when the stay-at-home order is going to lift. So everything's almost at a standstill. I know for myself, I'm on a committee, multiple committees for multiple events that are supposed to be happening in the summer, and we don't know what's going on. So it's okay to not know what's going on. So if you're really looking to not make this an offline event anymore and really push it online, really do your research, know what other events are happening, how it's going to benefit your organization or your business, and whether it's September, October, or maybe you even push it towards the winter. Be smart on the timing of the event, because if it's an opportunity for you to sell tickets, or if you're a nonprofit and it's a fundraising event, you don't want to lose on that opportunity because there's 3 other events going on at the same time, whether they're in person or virtual. So those are the tips that I have. I'll hang out for another minute or two for any other questions that you have. I'll be happy to answer. And if you're watching this after the fact of it being live, you can still ask your questions below and I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, if you have a topic for me you want to cover, let me know. This week's topic, my friend Suzanne recommended this last week, so I thought I'd talk about it this week. I hope it was very helpful. But if you have something you want me to cover, I'm going to be doing these Facebook Lives every Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if you have any questions, you can comment below or you can shoot me an email at hello@tcsainc.com. I'll just hang out for another minute, have my coffee, and answer any questions you may have. So it looks like that's it for questions right now. Again, feel free to ask anything, anytime after the fact. Here to help any way that I can. I know it's tough times out there, especially for the small businesses and nonprofits, but I'm here for you. Anything that I can do to help, please let me know. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Sandra. I hope you guys are all doing well, staying safe and healthy. Hi, Lisa. Happy to. So again, here every Thursday. Anything I can do to help. Any topic you want me to cover specifically next Thursday, let me know. If not, I'll just make one up that I think you guys would want to know. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week.